All right, welcome back to Historical Blunders podcast with me, Nate.
And Jacob.
And today we're going to talk about a really awesome topic: pirates.
Ahoy, matey!
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. So, sadly, we're only going to be hitting like the tail end of the pirate age, but to me, the most interesting.
The Golden Age, they call it.
Well, still the tail end of the Golden Age.
Well, the Golden Age of the Golden Age.
All right, we'll go with that.
No, this is going to be, I'm really excited about this episode. I think starting to read through it, I was kind of like, I don't know, like it's just a Hollywood thing, right? It's not real, but actually, like, there's wars going on. There's like people making their own laws. There's like insane amounts of wealth that they take over.
Yeah, so much wealth.
Like there's all this crazy characters. Like this is gonna be. I'm excited to do this episode.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We're going to start off going through what kind of led into the piracy and everything, kind of build a little backstory leading into it. Then we're going to talk about some very interesting characters, and then just do a little,
The usual.
I don't know, yeah, usual. Have a couple drinks, talk some history.
Ew.
All right, so we're going to start off with the Spanish Manila galleons. The Spanish Manila was a trade route from Spain all the way to Asia. They went around Africa and all that, India and that, but they also went through Central America and stuff because that's where a lot of their colonies were. Because at the time, Spain was like the maritime, like badasses.
Yeah.
They owned everything.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the reasons like we talk about we're going back a little bit because there's like a perfect storm for piracy in this age. And it starts with these big ass Spanish ships that had tons of loot on them. They were just they were like an armored truck going around in the ocean with tons of money on
The
them.
Brinks trucks hauling around gold coins and jewelry, spices.
Yeah, if the Brinks trucks
liquor.
had like 5 times as much money. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean there was I think I read somewhere that there was a 2 treasure ship from an Asian country that got pirated, and it was like 600,000 pounds of gold, silver, jewelry, and just stuff like that. And it was like equivalent to like $100 million today, just on 2 ships. Like, that's a lot of shit.
It was pirated, or
yeah,
yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the.
Do you ever wonder
guys.
like what that pirate did with all that money?
Well, that's the thing. Is like after reading about all these guys, like they had enormous wealth. But I mean, all they did was just hang out and drink.
They just drank and had prostitutes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you gotta fund them somehow.
They were like rock stars.
Essentially, that's exactly what they were. Just without the music. I mean, they had their sea shanties. But yeah. So Spain was the first one to kind of dominate global trade. At one point, it was Spain and Portugal were the 2 big countries of it, which ironically are right next to each other. And the Pope actually divided like everything west is Spain, everything east is Portugal, and they just kind of ran with it and blundered as much as they could with it.
That's back when the Pope had power.
Yeah, that's exactly what
like,
it was.
oh, you just get half, you get the other half.
But Spain was known for their galleon ships, which are huge ships. You'll see them throughout, like pirate stories and movies and stuff, just about galleons, just huge, beautiful looking ships. They huge for cargo. They cost a lot of money to build, and a lot of them, ironically, were built in the Philippines, not the Caribbean or anything, but still made their way that way. But leading up after that, after the global trades, King Charles II of Spain died. And that's what kind of triggered the War of the Spanish Succession. So there were like 3 families that were like next up in the like line of ruling they all had like a decent like case to be like, well, we should be in charge. And
Chaos is a ladder.
basically. And Britain and all
was
and
Littlefinger there?
no. Britain and France were worried about all of the and the Netherlands were worried about all the disrupt of the trade because some of the families didn't like Britain and stuff like that, and all because of that, the European powers are just worried about losing money. And actually, the war actually created Great Britain itself. That's what came out of that war was Britain, instead of just being England, took over everything.
I figured you'd know more about this than me.
But what kind of led to piracy was the war going on basically in the Caribbean between Spanish ships, British ships, Netherlands, and French ships. Is they started hiring privateers. You hear that term a lot when you're looking up pirates because essentially it's being a pirate, but the country says it's okay.
It's the gateway drug to piracy.
It is the gateway drug to piracy.
The marijuana.
Because it was
Great Britain. So yeah, it was Great Britain, right? They didn't want to fund a naval effort in the Caribbean. So what they did was they said, "All right, British colonies, if you guys happen to go rob the Spanish ships, like we're not gonna be mad about it.
We're gonna allow it.
We're gonna allow it." So it was sanctioned pirating, right? And it was smart on Britain's behalf because you didn't have to pay for a naval army in the Caribbean.
And I think a big part of that was they were worried about sending their navy from Britain, leaving them vulnerable.
Yeah.
I mean, Spain had such an enormous navy. Yeah. They could do that. They could have a war going on in a couple different parts of the world at a time. And Britain, I think, that's what led them to doing the privateering. But yeah, essentially it was just pirating with a note saying, "Okay, I can do it."
I'm always surprised to hear about how prominent Spain was such a long time ago, whereas now it's like all I hear about is just them chasing bulls and stuff.
Chasing bulls, playing soccer.
They're good at it.
They are. Two good things they're good at. They used to be sailing, and then the motorboat came out.
What a diverse group of people.
And so after the War of the Spanish Succession, I mean, the Caribbean was just kind of a mess of different colonies. I mean, you had English colonies, French colonies, and Spanish colonies, all kind of, and then the random Dutch ones. But
what you had was all those privateers that were like, "I like weed, right? I like the privateering," and then Britain's like, "All right, war is over. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're unemployed now.
Go back to nothing." And they were all broke, right? They didn't have a job to do. They didn't have anything to do.
Well,
what they were good at was sailing, and they liked stealing shit from people.
Yeah, they enjoyed the money of that.
Right.
And what's crazy is, I mean, a lot of these guys did come from England, from slave trade. Just I mean, they started in England, worked their way that way, and then they got stuck there without money and a job, and they're like, "Shit,
what am I supposed to do now?"
And so, a guy named Benjamin Hornigold. Horny Gold. Here's an eye. Horny.
Did you know that my wife dressed as a pirate the night that we met?
I think I remember the pictures of that.
I was thinking about that today. I should mention that.
I'm glad you did.
I married a pirate.
We'll for sure to let her know that. But Captain Benjamin Hornigold was an English pirate who, I mean, rose to power towards the tail end.
It was a Halloween party.
Jesus Christ. But it was.
I think I forgot to mention that.
She just walks around dressed as a pirate.
It was just a normal day.
You know, it was a like, Tuesday, and you're just like, hot damn, a pirate.
Look at that.
Let me
pirate in Illinois. I'm going to marry that woman.
Back to the history.
Anyways.
All right, so Hornigold was an English pirate, tail end of the golden age of the piracy. He was born in England, in the late 17th century. A lot of his early life, before he became a privateer and all that, really wasn't well known, which, I mean, is a lot of these guys, but I mean, it's kind of a common thing for pirates not to use real names. They didn't want to, like, tarnish the family name.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it was a criminal activity,
yeah,
right?
I mean, there was very few of them that actually used the real name,
Typically, they would want to get in, do their piracy,
make their
get their
money,
money, and leave
get the hell
and get
out.
out
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
And so the Hornigold actually helped establish the Republic of Pirates in Nassau in the Bahamas.
Yeah, he was like this tree of like all these legendary pirating characters.
Like,
Really.
he all kind, I mean, I don't know if, like, they kind of came there because of him, but he, like, saw their talent and, like, promoted them, allowing them to have their own ships and stuff like that. He was, like, a awesome sailor. He was really good at naval warfare. Like, as a privateer, he was awesome. That's what kind of made him famous into becoming this pirate. Like, I mean, governor, dude.
Yeah, I mean, really, the thought of pirating was like a lot of these guys were like leaders of men, right? They said, why should these people have this nice stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why can't we have that stuff, and why should we suffer for someone else making more money than us when we're own men, we're our own men. And
Well, I mean, a lot of them, yeah.
he started that real,
yeah. A lot of them felt betrayed by Britain.
Yeah, right.
But weirdly stayed, like, loyal to him. Because that was one of Hornigold's things. He would not attack British ships.
Yeah.
And people were saying that was because then he could be like, well, I'm doing it for Britain.
Yeah, he's covering his ass.
But for some, I understand it's because Spain, like, controlled a lot down there and moved a lot of stuff. But it seems like no matter what, it was always a Spanish ship involved.
Yeah.
Somehow a Spanish ship got pirated, and then a French ship would, like, pull up, and they'd be like, all right, we're taking your shit too, damn it. Shit. But yeah. So Hornigold had a couple pirates that kind of worked below him. One is Sam Bellamy, Black Sam.
Black Sam.
We're going to talk about him in a little bit.
Yeah, we will.
Anne Bonny, who is one of the most famous female pirates.
Yowza!
Yeah, she liked to fight with her boobs out.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
I don't know how real. I think
there's paintings, and that was the thing they said. I
think they just like to draw paintings of boobs, dude.
I mean, that very well could have been. It was like
the same thing in high school, man.
How do we make this interesting? Just say she had her boobs out.
Dude, she totally had her rack out.
But that is a thing that is brought up almost everywhere you look up.
Everyone was drunk back then, anyway.
They were drunk and lonely on a boat, and so they saw a woman and they got excited, and then got murdered because she was a badass.
She probably just like showed her ankle or something.
Look at this ankle.
Dude, did you see Anne's ankle today?
Sun-kissed.
Biting his hand. We should mention too, we got nice chairs now.
Oh yeah, we do have very nice comfy chairs.
Yeah, I was thinking it's so much better than sitting in your lap like we were having to do.
Well, that's the only way. We had one mic.
Yeah, so what are we supposed to do? It's totally normal.
It's perfectly normal. And so more pirates under him. Charles Vane was involved with him for a while. He was he was an asshole, but he was a very well-known pirate. Calico Jack.
Yeah, I mean,
he had a very lame name, so I just wrote Calico Jack.
Yeah, Hornigold had like this huge tree beneath him of like all these.
So pirates. And then my personal favorite, Edward Thatch, who was also known as Blackbeard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he so like Hornigold was just kind of known as this guy that just was able to, like, I don't really want to say govern because he really wasn't a governor, but he was able to
maybe pioneer piracy. And like really their democratic system they had.
There we go. It was more of a democratic
pioneer for that system.
Yeah, because he basically made it like everyone had a vote. You can vote out your captain if you think your captain's not good enough.
Yeah, we should talk about let's talk about like the democratic part of this, because it's since it is something that he pirated or he
Yeah.
pioneered. Like there, what's totally misunderstood about pirates is the
Is
fact that they're extremely
organized.
democratic and
Yeah.
organized and rule driven. They were not like these. Like
And
they were scallywags
yeah.
and they're stealing shit from people, but like
Like,
they had a lot of
yeah,
rules.
like that's what's kind of funny to me is they are like scum of the earth, but yet
Well,
they are like
yeah.
kind of progressive. Like, I mean, they would take slaves off slave ships and put them in their crew if they were capable.
Yeah, or they'd make them do it, but yeah.
Well, that too. Well, but they were set, like if they captured a bunch of gold, they'd split it evenly, like even with the slaves.
Yeah, they weren't. They were very racially progressive, especially
Yes,
for sure.
I mean pirates did get involved in slave trades too, but
Yeah, that's where money was back then.
it was
But
a lot
yeah.
of money, especially for the Americas, because I mean, Britain kind of controlled all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they so captains voted on like all the issues.
Well, the crew voted on it, right? And
Well, the
that's
crew
how
did too,
decisions
but
were made.
then like for I think it was for like Nassau, like it wasn't just one guy making the rules there. Like it wasn't just Hornigold. Like Blackbeard had a say, Sam Bellamy had a say. Like all the captains had a say in what happened there.
It's really, I think, some of the product of the times, because you think about the colonies back then, right? The colonies in the Americas were largely Protestant, like hyper religious folk.
Yeah.
That had all these like very
Rules.
strict ways of life, and people wanted to get away from that and piracy. And those people were like, you know what, those rules are stupid. We should be able to vote on things together instead of being like a tyranny type system.
Well, I mean, and for the Protestant, I mean, you listen to the church. The church is what
right.
whoever the priest was, pastor was, or whatever it was at the time, whatever he said went, and
it's kind of like a counterculture to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's
Good
one
way
of
to put it.
one of like the reasons for like this perfect storm of the golden age of the golden age. I think
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of everything that happened in the world just kind of led to pirates rising
This tiny little bubble, the Gulf of Mexico
in the Caribbean.
and the Caribbean, where yeah, people were stealing shit.
Yeah.
They had lots of money.
Well, there's a lot of money down there.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you
Black
got
Sam, dude. That guy was, we'll talk about it later, but he is super rich.
Yeah.
Super rich.
But yeah, they shared the loot with everybody. That was the thing. Lights out at 8 p.m.
Yeah. What?
I mean,
that's surprising to me. I was like, what?
I guess.
No way.
I mean, make sure you're rested. Might have to pillage
see
your
the
ship.
captain going around and be like, guys, it's 8:30. Lights out.
Who's ready to get tucked in? Just imagine Blackbeard.
No,
Here you go.
I think it like to operate a ship back then took shifts of people, and it took a lot of people.
Well,
like-
some of these ships were so massive at
Yeah.
the time.
Even the Navy had a hard time managing the amount of manpower it took to sail. So, like people even had to sleep above deck.
Yeah.
Sometimes because there wasn't enough room under deck with all the
And
people.
another thing that's crazy to me about like these ships and pirates and stuff is like in the movies and books and stuff, they just seem so like unorganized, just chaos.
Yeah, Jack Sparrow, right?
Just
kinda walking
just a
around
whole
with some
whole
confidence.
crew of Jack Sparrows. But like how much order and like I mean rules they had on the
Leadership.
ship. Yeah,
right?
the leadership just to make sure things ran smoothly. They didn't allow women on the ships. That's an old sailing thing. That was just superstition.
And Anne Bonny cheated that system.
I don't think anybody wanted to tell her no.
I think she dressed like a man to get on one.
She did dress like a man. She wore men's clothes, and that was another big no-no at the time. Is women had to wear the corsets and big dresses, and she's out there supposedly with her tits out and and men's clothes. They're like, man, that man's got some tits. They clean, they clean their weapons
That's a famous quote
a
for
lot.
this podcast.
Man, that man's got
Man,
some
that
nice
man's got
tits.
some-
And
Right on the
gambling.
board.
What about the gambling?
Yeah, they can't gamble.
We're not allowed to gamble.
Yeah, which is like also a surprising thing. You think all those guys, especially with all that money, but I think they were very wary to prevent people from getting like reckless with each other. Or
I
angry
mean, I
at each
guess you
other.
don't want, you don't want people in debt to another person.
Yeah, I mean they made the rules really clear on who was gonna get how much money when they stole it. Like so all of these rules per ship were, I mean, slightly different, but it was called the article for the ship, and everyone who would go on board would have to read it and they'd have to sign it, right, as an agreement that not even that, but if you did steal from someone, here's what would happen to you, right? We do abandonment or something like that.
Yeah.
But one of the things typically was no gambling because they didn't want people. As a captain, right? You don't want people to fight and shoot each other and be difficult.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like you think pirates are gambling for sure, but they weren't. Not on ship. Probably off ship they were.
Oh yeah, probably in the cities and ports and stuff.
They were strict though.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty cool to me.
Lights out at 8. I just don't get that.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I like sleeping.
I don't know.
But all right, so we're just the weird. I mean, not weird, but like Hornigold was kind of like the pioneer of all that, just to kind of organize the effort and everything. And Hornigold eventually got a fleet. I think they call it like a flotilla. Is like the word for like their fleet. Of 5 ships.
Flotilla.
A flotilla.
There's got to be a better word for that.
I've seen it multiple times. But yeah, he had Sam Bellamy under him. He had Edward Thatch, Blackbeard.
Yep.
Blackbeard was, I mean, just an awesome sailor, and so Hornigold trusted him from like the get go.
Yeah, Thatch was very loyal.
Yeah.
To Hornigold.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole career.
And we're gonna because I mean, this basically all these guys all operated basically the same time. But we're gonna talk a little of what happened with Hornigold before we move on to the other guys.
Yeah.
So in 1717, King George of Britain put out his suppression of the pirates in the West Indies. It was basically a proclamation. It was allowing pirates to go to British-controlled colonies, and whatever governors there can grant them a pardon if they surrender. But if not, then they get caught and tried as a pirate and sentenced to death by hanging. But a lot of what happened was they had to stop piracy. They had to stop doing stuff by a certain date. But by the time they actually got it to the West Indies, the Caribbean, was already past that date.
Hold on a second.
That's a good
rum
noise.
bottle.
That's a good noise. And so they actually came out with the King's Pardon in 1718, which was the same thing and everything. Just it allowed pirates to become pirate hunters, and
which I'm surprised by that he did that.
Me too, but like a lot of them said a lot of these guys took the pardon, but then still like continued being a pirate.
Did I bring my pineapple juice down?
You did, and I think did you?
God, I'm an idiot.
You did. All right, we'll pause.
Fuck that. I don't need more pineapple juice.
Oh, all right.
No, let's go.
All right, that's fine. And so
Daddy's drinking rum and ice, baby.
they didn't have ice.
Well, They
You need
didn't
the
have
ice.
athletic shorts and t-shirts and
They did not.
microphones and
But
better
yes.
help.
So, uh, the money they offered for these people to become pirates, you would receive 100 euros, pounds, whatever it was at the time. I think it was pounds back then. Probably wasn't even pounds. It was probably fucking like shillings or something. But it was equivalent to 17,000.
They would pay him to become pirates
No,
or
to
stop.
hunt the pirates. Every captain you turned
Ah.
in,
You got a reward
yeah,
for it.
for every lieutenant was 6,700 basically, and uh each level had like a different reward system.
Sure.
And so a lot of it did intrigue pirates to, flip, but shockingly, Hornigold did take the king's pardon, and he
Did
didn't.
some hunting too of pirates, didn't
He
he?
did. His main thing was Vane. He
He
was
took down Vane.
well, I don't think he actually did. I didn't look into Charles Vane much.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he was kind of an asshole. But Hornigold, that was like his thing. It was Governor Rogers was his name, who came from England.
Yeah, he was a big part of
Woodes
why
Rogers was his name.
pirating died.
Yeah, so he was a naval dude, hated pirates. Got sent in, heavily Protestant too.
Yeah.
Got sent from England to basically be the governor of the Bahamas, and they basically took Nassau from him.
Yeah. So the thing with Rogers, right? It's easy to hate him. He was a smart dude.
He was a very smart.
He was
dude.
a smart dude for being like, here's how you tear apart piracy, because it's going crazy right now.
Yeah.
He's like, you offer them a pardon to quit what they're doing, get out while they're ahead, give them a job if they want to hunt pirates. Like, that tore apart Nassau.
Yeah.
When that happened.
Well, yeah, especially, I mean, Rogers got Hornigold to flip,
right?
And that was their like
that alone
unofficial leader, and that tore it apart quite a bit.
Yep.
But so Hornigold eventually hunted down pirates and stuff, but eventually returned to being a pirate and crashed his ship and died. And they have no idea where. They just said it was an uncharted reef and he's dead. And I'm like, and how do you know that?
Yeah, he's gone.
And he's dead.
Turns out the ocean's kind of big.
Ocean's a little big.
It's kind of hard to find stuff in there.
Just a little bit.
You drop something, it's gone.
But before we start talking about the other guys,
yeah,
because I probably should have added that Hornigold after this. 1715 Treasure Fleet off of Florida was a Spanish fleet of treasure ships.
That's the other part of the perfect storm.
Yeah, sorry guys. There was 12 ships sailing back to the mainland. I
apologize to no one.
Back to the mainland. 11 ships got stuck in a hurricane off the Florida coast. Crashed. Shit ton of silver.
Yeah, basically, imagine if those brink trucks we were talking about, if there was like 14 of them and they all crashed and scattered their money across New York City street.
Yeah,
it was like everyone was like, "Dude, there's money!"
And so that's where a lot of these pirates actually were like, "Okay, let's go do it now."
Specifically,
Hornigold
and Sam
Bellamy. That's how
Sam Bellamy got into piracy because of that.
Yeah, the room and an article I read is that even to this day, every now and then, people find money to wash up on shore and stuff. I think it's pretty cool.
Those Spanish folk, man, they just had money running around like crazy.
It's so much fucking money.
They're asking for problems.
But yeah, they had 12 ships total. 11 sank off the coast of Florida. One actually made it all the way back.
Of course, you know.
Bitch. Sorry. All right. Who are you gonna talk about first?
Oh, you know what? Let's do Anne Bonny.
Let's
do Anne Bonny, and then we'll come back and maybe talk about like some of the facts and fiction of the piracy era. But let's start with Anne Bonny for me, right? Go ahead, raising up your finger. What do you want?
I think we should take a quick break and
Yeah.
Hear from our new sponsor. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in a world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com.
That's right, Nate. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. Yeah, I'm really glad we chose BetterHelp as a sponsor for this podcast because I've had people in my own life that have struggled with mental health and anxiety and depression. And therapy was something that definitely helped them overcome those struggles. And now they're in a much better place.
Yeah, I mean, I use BetterHelp, and so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really talking about you.
Oh,
BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days.
and sometimes faster. It only took a couple hours for me.
That's right, it's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in our description. It's betterhelp.com/historicalblunderspod.
All one word.
That's right. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and get the support that you need.
And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in network, or anything like that.
So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/historicalblunderspod.
And that's betterhelphelp.com.
All right, so we're back. Anne Bonny. Anne Bonny was the chick pirate that was a badass.
The chick pirate that was a badass.
And in fact, she was raised as a boy. She was a bastard child growing up. And because of that, her dad still took care of her. She was born from a servant, I think it was.
Yeah, the dad had an affair with a maid, I think.
Yeah, whoops. And
where's she from?
Charlestown.
Charlestown?
Charlestown. Pennsylvania?
She's Irish, dude. Come on.
Well, she's Irish because she's angry. I don't know if she's actually Irish.
No, she's actually from Ireland.
Well, she was raised as a boy, and it was kind of a rough life growing up. But she ended up marrying this, like, wimp of a sailor, James Bonny, not to be confused with James Bronny. I kept saying that, James Bronny, like LeBron James. Kid, you know?
That's his name?
No, she married this guy named James Bonny, and he was kind of a wimp, he was a sailor, but he wasn't the toughest guy. And it was funny because, like, she's this badass personality, and this guy's kind of a poser.
Well, that's the thing, is he's known as just kind of a coward and everything, and what was kind of crazy to me is that he, like, pimped out his wife to all these pirates.
Yeah.
And it's like,
what a man.
Yeah, what a fucking man. And she,
you like my wife?
$20. And, like, I mean, she even told multiple people about, like, how, like, big of a pussy he was. I don't know.
She was banging someone else, and he was paying that guy.
I mean, you're paying my husband, but, you know,
no, but and eventually he became an informant to Woodes Rogers. So
he was kind of
a sellout.
Too. Yeah, well, he was trying to save his ass because he's a little pussy.
So eventually, you know, when she grew up, she married Mr. Bronny, right? And her dad disapproved, so she burned down her dad's house. Because she's Anne Bonny. She's a badass. She's not like a normal chick, right?
She is not normal.
So then she went down to Nassau and lived there. And yeah, she did some banging, you know.
Just a little bit.
She was known for her fiery temper. And she started working for Calico Jack as a sailor, as a pirate. She had to dress as a dude to get on the ship. She was also banging Calico Jack because, you know.
She's had to bang everybody.
You gotta bang your way to the top.
Hey.
So yeah, she joined his crew. There was a part where she got pregnant. They dropped her off in Cuba, and she had a baby, and then she got back on the boat. It continued her piracy.
What happened to the baby?
Uh,
There's just a random little Irish baby
Dude,
in fucking Cuba.
there's an angry Irish baby in Cuba.
There's just a bloodline of angry Irish in Cuba now. Maybe that's where Fidel came from.
And it's funny enough, like she was also on a boat with another chick that was disguised as a man with Mary Reed, and they became friends. Found out she was a chick too. They had this kind of weird thing, like they a little romantic.
Well, they weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, they had. I mean, obviously they had a lot in common.
It was
right?
the forbidden.
Do you have a wiener? No. Oh my gosh, me neither.
too.
So eventually, her piracy career was not very long. Calico Jack and Mary Reed and Anne Bonny were all on the same ship that got ambushed by the British. And the iconic part, and really why her legend is big, is that her and Mary Reed apparently were fighting back against the British, whereas everyone else on the ship had just partied like there was no tomorrow, got way too drunk, and didn't fight back. They were like, I can't, my head hurts.
Yeah, and I mean, Netflix has a fantastic documentary. There's boobs.
Boobs.
Like she's calling out Calico Jack for being a coward, and I mean,
I think that actress is way more attractive than the actual Anne Bonny.
I hope not.
That's false.
I hope not. But
I'm glad I'm not sitting on your lap anymore.
But like after reading about her for a little bit, like that was an actual thing she did. She was calling out all the pirates for being just cowards and weak.
Yeah, her famous quote, right? So they ended up getting imprisoned. Her and Mary Reed fought for a couple hours, but like it was a gunfight. They eventually didn't win, right? There was two people against the whole ship. And they all got imprisoned, and her and Mary Reed, actually everyone was sentenced to execution, right?
For being a pirate.
And no, they didn't put their sticker on the back of their car. Like, obviously, yeah, they were. So,
they didn't put the registration on.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Expired registration on your sloop.
No, so they were all getting executed, and Calico Jack was getting walked out of the cell. And the famous quote from Anne Bonny was, "If you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't have to die like a dog." Like that's just like a culmination of who she was, you know. Like she's a badass bitch. My kids are running around upstairs.
Damn it, Colin. But yeah, no. What I think is real funny about that is just, that quote. I just read it in an angry Irish accent. And
go ahead.
Oh, I cannot do accents.
If you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't have to die like a dog.
That's Scottish, dude.
Is that? Well, what's the difference?
They're both angry.
No, so they were getting executed, and Mary Reed and Anne Bonny conveniently were pregnant, so they could not get executed by law, and they had to wait until they gave birth to get executed. But Mary Reed died in childbirth. She had a fever, and she died in prison. She didn't make it out. Anne Bonny never was executed.
Yeah, they let her go.
Something happened where she got out. She ran away. Something.
She had her tits out.
Maybe she screwed her way out. Who knows?
Maybe she did.
And now she's someone's grandma.
I know there's a bloodline in America
grandma
from Anne Bonny.
She probably went to the Americas, enjoyed the rest of her life with her money. She was too tough to put down.
Yeah.
I think that's just the case. The legend of Anne Bonny lives on. Probably my great-great-great-grandma. You know?
Is that where your hussiness comes from?
Dude, I bet she had some stories as a grandma.
Just, what'd you do, Grandma Ann? I fucked Blackbeard.
Yeah.
All jokes aside of her
sleeping
her way to the top, she was a fucking badass.
Yeah, she's badass.
She went against all the gender norms at the time. Like, women were supposed to be quiet, dress nice, not do a damn thing. She was loud.
No one told her.
Yeah, you don't tell her what to do unless it was, hey, this guy paid $5 to fuck you.
I just love that thought of her as a grandma.
I know.
Like, I bet like you're sitting around with your friends. You're like, "What's your grandma do?" You're like, "Oh, my grandma makes apple pies, and she's really good at this." My grandma was kind of rough, man.
We had to go down for nap time.
Yeah. No, I think that's what I have about Anne Bonny. Maybe we should go back to some like the common misunderstandings of piracy. You want to do that now, or
Yeah, we can do that.
yeah, why not? Right? That's the thing. There's so many like myths or things like that about
The
what
pirates were
actually
just
happened during piracy.
romanticized too much.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's like a lot of people were probably like, "Man, I got this uptight preacher that runs this place, and like, I can't do anything I want to do.
They're just the
There's all these
burnouts.
damn rules. The British are stupid, and I hate them.
The Spanish
There's
too.
no democracy here. You know, everyone's all uptight. I don't have any money. I'm broke." And the pirates are like the opposite of all that.
Yeah.
They're loaded. They're wild. They have their own like system that they think fits best.
You said it best, I think, at the beginning of the episode.
I
They
like
were
the way
rock
that
stars.
sounds. They're rock stars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were living the rock star life.
That's why you hear so much about. That's why there's Hollywood movies.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think that's kind of like why they got romanticized so much is, I mean, people just heard stories about all this money and just
How do you not get
Yeah.
excited? Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing like today. All we want to hear about is people that have money, right?
Yeah.
Like Kardashians, and
I don't want to, but
I don't like them, but I watch their show all the time.
You would.
No,
I watched it for Kanye. That was it.
No, but so some of the myths, right?
Yeah.
Let's go through this. So we were talking about this before the episode, and apparently all the ones that I thought were fact, you're saying are fiction, and vice
So we have
versa.
no fucking idea, but we're gonna talk about
I
it.
don't think anyone knows, right?
I mean, honestly,
let's
unless
just
it's
argue.
handwritten in like a perfectly handwritten document.
Yeah.
For a fact.
Even then,
But I mean, that's true. Even then,
it's
with,
some guy trying to sell something.
Yeah, with it being so romanticized.
The story of Anne
fixated.
Bonny is largely from that one famous letter in Britain, which is a storybook basically, and who knows how true that is.
Oh, I hope she's
So-
real. That was their tale of trying to scare young
So-
girls.
I'm so glad I'm not sitting on your lap.
You'll be
No,
fine.
let's go through this. So,
Okay.
the first thing that I had was abandonment. So remember in Pirates of the Caribbean, they abandoned Jack Sparrow on an island, right?
Where he had his
Did
rum
pirates
stash.
used to do that? Abso-freaking-lutely they
Yes,
did.
they did.
That was a key component of their article. Is if you steal shit from someone else, we will abandon you on an island. So it wasn't like as friendly as it looked at, like with Jack Sparrow. It was like you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like because there's so many islands in the Bahamas.
Well, I
right?
mean, even with Pirates of the Caribbean, they're like, "Oh shit, he escaped the island."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a big thing. Is basically if you like violated pirate code,
Yeah.
and they voted on, they were leaving you somewhere.
Yep.
Sometimes they at least gave you a boat. Sometimes.
Did they? Well, I do know all the times they didn't. They also commonly would leave a gun with one bullet in it.
Yep.
For certain reasons, you know. So, yeah, abandonment was absolutely a real thing. At least we agree on that. Let's talk about walking the plank, because I reject your reality and substitute my own. I just saw everywhere I read that there was no walking the plank. You're full of shit.
And what I read was the same thing about marooning, is that it was if you violated pirate code, you had to walk the plank. But that could have been to your
Did you see
abandonment.
that on TikTok?
No.
I don't believe you.
I wasn't on TikTok. Shockingly, no pirate stuff has popped up on it yet. Waiting for it.
All right, fine.
All right, so
So maybe there was like instance or two of it, but mostly I think it was pretty uncommon.
yeah, it's not like as common
Marooning
as
was
is
way
in the,
more
yeah.
common.
Well, I think it was their way of making you jump off, swim to the island. It wasn't like,
Is that right?
yeah, I don't think it was, oh, you're gonna jump into shark-infested waters and die. I mean, maybe, but
I think it's more go drown slowly in the water.
Yeah.
Ugh. Sounds terrible.
yeah, especially salt water. Third thing, eye patches.
Yeah. So Here's this bullshit. Everything I read said absolutely pirates wore eye patches so that, like you saw in Mythbusters, right? When
Yep.
they want to go under deck and it's dark, say if they were robbing a ship, they would want to have one eye prepared for the darkness so that they could open it up when they go under ship and they
Cover
can
it,
still
yeah.
see, right? That absolutely has an effect. Like if you do it at home, it definitely
Yeah,
does have
I
a
mean, I think they
huge
proved
effect.
it
Yeah,
on
they did it.
Mythbusters.
It
Yeah.
was passed, and you're saying that that's a lie.
Yeah, there's no actual like accounts of them doing
You whore.
it. A lot of it was just if you're injured. I mean, I'm not saying that there wasn't a pirate that did it, but almost everywhere I read is they said that it
What
wasn't.
were they doing where they're popping eyes out?
I mean, you get stabbed in the eye, you get a weird infection.
Yeah, but how often like that happens today too? I don't see people with eye patches everywhere. If you do, it's like, dude, that guy's.
Well, we also have modern medicine, which we'll talk about some medicine.
Fine.
But
I'm gonna do a lot of homework on this.
Okay.
Next pod, I'm gonna bring it up.
Okay. You'll forget.
Unless I'm wrong, then I won't.
I'll bring my counter arguments. All right. You want to do the next one?
Yeah. So earrings and jewelry, like all the movies you see, they will wear tons of
Earrings,
flashy shit, right? And it's absolutely true that
Yep.
they would wear that stuff. They would get as much as they could. Really, if you think about it, for a pirate, the problem is you're making so much money in such a little time frame, especially if you have a good captain, that you need like either to keep the money on you or store it. What do you do with all that money? I think the more you can wear, the better, right? So they would do that, and also like earrings, especially were understood to be at the time because they're stupid. Like it would ward off infections and things like that. They would wear earrings to prevent it getting sick and infections. So especially
help your
with the face.
balance.
Yeah, stupid shit. But so the other part was they would also wear that so if they died, it would pay for the crew to send them home, their body home to be buried where they want to be buried, and things like that.
And
Go ahead.
And a thing I read is that if their body's washed up somewhere, it was for that person whoever found them to pay for them to be buried properly.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of cool.
It's cool if they actually did it.
Yeah, I mean, I
Be like, hey,
I get it.
free earrings.
I mean, if I found a dead body, I wouldn't be like, "Ooh, gold earrings." I'd be like, "Fucking cops!" When it was not me.
Yeah, I don't really want to think about that.
Yeah. All right, you want me to do the next one?
No, I want us to sit here in silence.
In silence.
10
Okay.
seconds.
All right, 10 seconds of silence.
No,
it's not happening.
Go ahead. That's terrible.
All right, wooden legs. You know, the old peg leg pirates.
And I saw that it was fairly real. If people got infected, or mostly just infected, they would chop shit off quick.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. You ain't got no medicine. The old medicine back then was like, here, let's just make you bleed more, and maybe it'll go away.
Bloodletting.
Right. So that's stupid. I could also see him being like, dude, you got a little nick on your leg. We're gonna chop that shit off.
You got ghosts in your blood.
And then they put like it wasn't as fancy looking as some of the wooden legs, but
yeah,
I could see him taking like a stick and just tying it to your stump that's left, and you get around on that as best you could, you know.
I mean, you see that all the time in the movies.
But go ahead and say what you want to say, Nate.
But everywhere I read said
bitch.
there was no accounts of it. I mean, I don't want to hurt your mood, but if you want to think it happened,
It's too late.
You can think it happened.
I don't believe you.
History is whatever you want it to be. It's not. There's facts.
This is another thing we're gonna look up, and you're gonna be wrong, or I'm not gonna bring it up.
All right. You want to talk about
rum? Rum, right? So, was rum real? Absolutely, rum was real.
We're
right?
fucking drinking it right now.
We're drinking it right now. Lil Bumbu, was it? That's good rum.
It is good rum.
I think Lil Wayne owns that, actually.
Does he?
I think so.
Do you look that up? You want me to look it up?
I know. I looked it up when I was I was looking at rum in the store the other day to find because I was like, I like bourbon a lot, but I also want to try like different things. and like good rum I wanted to try. I looked it up and it said like, oh, Lil Wayne's brand of rum or something.
Dude, I really hope so.
It tastes kind of funny. Like it's good, but it tastes really sweet. Like it's almost too sweet.
Well, because rum is made with molasses.
I know it's supposed to be sweet.
It's
but like,
supposed to be sweet. That because you're
it's
used to your
sweet
bourbon.
for rum.
You're used to your bourbon. But
Even-
also you
even
might
the
be
last
used to
rum I
shitty
got.
rum.
That's probably it too.
Yeah.
Either way, right? So rum, right? Used in funny ways on a pirate ship. So yeah, they get drunk with it, but also they used it as common drinking water.
Yeah. So a lot of the ships didn't have safe water to drink.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you have alcohol. You don't have to worry about it. But they would actually mix the
Kills
shitty
bacteria.
water with
Yeah.
the rum.
Yep.
And then, I mean, sugar. That was a big thing that they'd plunder off ships. So they'd mix sugar, water, and different citrus fruits because, they had them too. Prevent scurvy. I don't think they knew that, but they might have known that.
Imagine your common daily drinking water,
Rum.
like out of your sink, was WAP, like from college, because that's basically what they had.
Yeah.
It was
Jungle
like
juice.
it was like a little watered down rum with a bunch of sweeteners added to it, and like that's like, are you thirsty? Could you go for a drink? Like water. Here you go, and then you drink it. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is alcohol. They're like, yeah. Welcome to piracy.
You're not gonna have a sane thought for a while. So sticking with the rum,
Yeah,
I have a cool anecdote.
go ahead.
Captain Morgan, probably the most famous rum in the world, is actually named after a pirate, a real pirate.
Yep.
Captain Henry Morgan.
Yep.
He was a privateer, pirate, and everything for the French and British in the early years of piracy. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Is that an anecdote? What does anecdote mean?
Extra shit. I don't fucking know.
Oh,
It's an anecdote.
I was thinking an acronym.
You're
It's
a
like I
goddamn
thought you were
idiot.
gonna say like really understood Manila.
No.
No. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to
Oh,
do the next
fucking
one?
moron. Yeah. So the next one was buried treasure. Is it fact or fiction? Go ahead, Nate. I think it's fiction. Mostly, there's like one or two guys. That
Yeah,
did some
it
buried
was.
treasure.
Yeah, that's it. The thing I saw is that William Kidd was the only one actually that known to do it.
Yeah.
And William Kidd was also a famous pirate who ended up getting sent back to Britain and hung, and then they let his body rot in the port to ward off pirates.
Yeah. In general, government was not really a big fan of piracy.
Yeah, I mean, ironically,
Because they're rock stars, man.
that's how they made their money, was international trade and just moving shit, and ships was the way to move it. And when people are fucking with your money, you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, like global trade was such a signal for huge superpower money, wealth.
Yeah.
Right? And I think like some of the cool parts of piracy is like, fuck that. Fuck your why should you have all this money? I'm the one sailing around with it. I'm gonna go take it.
Yeah. Anti-establishment.
The people that converted from being traders to pirates, like it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's an exciting thought.
It is a
Right.
very exciting thought.
Yep.
All right.
So let's talk about violence.
Are pirates violent? Fucking A right they are.
Fucking A.
But
But
if you would surrender though,
yep,
they wouldn't harm you. At least most of them would. Some of them, like Charles Vane, did still.
because he was a dick.
And there were some accounts of Blackbeard.
Yeah, let's talk about Charles Vane for a second, because I've said that like 14 times. It feels like
He's a dick.
Yeah. So he was like very for torturing people.
He was
violence, and being
scarred at a young
ruthless and
age.
treated it. Yeah. He had a messed up
Well,
upbringing.
his hero was William Kidd.
Yeah.
And he saw William Kidd get hung.
Yeah, he kind of grew up on the streets, like he was a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know?
Not educated. Basically, his skills were fighting and eventually sailing.
Yeah, he treated his crew like shit too.
Yeah, they were not
when
a
he
big
was
fan of
finally
him.
captain. Yeah,
But it was just he was so insane and psychotic that they were just like
too scared.
they were too scared to do anything to him.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that's why we keep saying he's a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick.
He is a dick. And then I mean we've already kind of brushed on this. Oh,
But yeah, I mean violence in general. I was just gonna say, like they absolutely were violent, right, when they needed to be. However, an ideal pirated conflict for them was no conflict.
yeah. Basically, you just stop.
If
They
there
hop
was
on, steal your shit,
Yeah.
you leave.
Right. If there was a battle, damage is going to be had. You might lose some treasure. You might lose some people that you need for your ship, right? And you might even lose the battle, right? If you're taking it on like a naval ship. So ideally, they would love, and that's why a lot of these pirates, they would love to be an intimidating figure, hence Blackbeard, especially, right? They used that to their benefit because if you saw, like, the thing with it, like, you're out in the ocean, right? And you see, here comes a pirate ship that's faster than you, and they sail that black flag, and you know they're all fucking drunk, crazy sons of bitches.
I mean, they're not drinking water.
They're not drinking water. They're just drinking rum. And then they show up and you're like, oh shit. Like dude, I'm not even gonna fight. Like this isn't my money. That's the other thing too. Is like I'm a Brinks truck driver.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the thing with the captains. Is I mean, it wasn't their stuff.
Forget it.
They didn't really want to risk their lives for that stuff.
Yeah, so the pirates were violent, but ideally they didn't have to be, and they were smart enough to not be when they didn't need to be.
If they needed to be, they were extremely violent.
Yes.
0 to 60.
Yep.
But if they could avoid it, they would avoid it, and I think that was kind of cool of them.
And actually, Black Sam was very merciful to. We'll talk about him later, but like when people would surrender, he would do things for them that you wouldn't think, a pirate would do.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, we touched on this. The last one is lawless and ruthless, right? But they weren't lawless. They had a lot of rules that they followed. They were a democratic kind of republic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just them being portrayed in the media and all the media, right. Anti-pirate. But I mean, just in all the movies and books and stuff, you just hear about the chaos. But it wasn't really like that. It was just nice.
Yeah. One of the cool things too is piracy careers. We should talk about that. We're super short.
Yes.
Compared to what you think is going on. So like to start with that, like typically it was like 1 to 3 year careers as a pirate. And it's not just like you would die. Sometimes you would.
I mean, most of the time you would.
But other times, like other times you get your money and people would be like, I have all the money I'm gonna need
for the rest of my life.
And I'm gonna go hide somewhere.
Yeah.
And hopefully they don't prosecute me. But like for example, Anne Bonny, right? All that going on with her.
I wonder how much money she left with.
I don't know, but like her career, guess how long her career was.
Less than 2 years.
2 months.
2 months?
2 months as a pirate.
That sounds
for Anne Bonny to be a legend forever.
What's crazy is, I mean, Blackbeard, one of the most feared pirates, like the most talked about pirates. His career was about 5 years.
Yeah, that's long.
I mean, that's long for a pirate, yes. But he also kind of we'll talk about it too, for a little while he did kind of privateer, but be a pirate.
Yeah, you know what? Do you want to go back into characters?
Yeah, do you want to talk about Black Sam?
Let's talk about Black Sam, right? So Black Sam really was one of the pirates under Hornigold, and he took over when Hornigold was voted out. But to start out, he was a naval sailor in his teen years. In general, he was a pretty poor, low-class individual. He ended up marrying above his class. He married this babe.
Did he actually marry her?
This babe, hot chick. Are you gonna tell me something I don't
know?
No,
I was just wondering if
he says he married her.
Okay. Well, like in the documentary, they said like he was going to make his money to marry her.
I don't just watch documentaries for my information.
Oh. You just look up in the wrong places.
So do you.
Maybe. I'm on Reddit.
Anyways, so he married above his class. He married this babe with lots of money, big, tracts of land. I made that up myself. And what happened was that Spanish wreck that we talked about earlier in 1715 that wrecked off the coast of Florida. He saw that as the opportunity to move up in class, right? Make some money.
What was his his partner? Palsgrave?
Yeah, Palsgrave.
William Palsgrave?
Yeah, William Palsgrave was his partner.
Yeah, he's the one that kind of funded it because he was actually from money.
So yeah, Sam Bellamy didn't have no money.
Bellamy did not, but it was a fantastic pirate or sailor.
Yeah, no. So that's the thing with Sam Bellamy. He went to go pirate, right? And he just like hit his groove. He was excellent at pirating and especially establishing that mindset of like being that Robin Hood, right?
Yeah.
Like he and like the democratic process that they followed. Like he was an excellent like he would have been a good politician, almost like a good leader if he was not a low class loser like he was kind of born into, right? He didn't really have a chance, being born into that.
And I think he was Bellamy was actually a part of the crew that ended up voting Hornigold off of out of command.
So, but yeah, Bellamy was voted in.
Yeah.
When Hornigold was voted out. So it's kind of ironic that Hornigold like pushed for this democratic process of voting for everything
and then got voted off. But they were merciless to him. I mean they gave him they gave him his own ship. The Ranger was his ship, and that ended up being like the most badass ship in the Caribbean until Queen Anne's Revenge. But
yeah, so Bellamy was so well had such a strong reputation, so well known that he was voted in as captain when Hornigold was voted out. Yeah. What they say about Bellamy, he was a strong, distinctive, like a well mannered and tidy man, not like what you think about typical pirates. Like he was a leader of men, really. And he did wear like expensive clothes, which a common misconception about pirates is that they dressed like shit.
They wore fancy shit.
Yeah, they had money.
Yeah. Right? Well, I mean, they were also raiding ships with expensive clothes on them.
Yeah, like he didn't wear powdered wigs like a lot of people did. He just kind of ponytailed his long black hair, hence Black Sam. He wore black coats. Like he had a very clean look about him, I think was his thing, right? Part of his kind of personality. He had a very like democratic and actually very merciful leadership style. Like the crew just loved him. Everything you read about, they used to call themselves Robin Hood's men. And it's funny they didn't call him Robin Hood. I think probably because he was like, dude, guys, come on. Like, don't be weird. Don't be like, weird. We're Robin Hood's men. Like, he's a badass. We love that guy.
Like, to me, I feel like what happened to him didn't happen.
Yeah. He died.
They all died. It was 300 years ago. But I think he would have been, like, the biggest pirate.
So, already, he was the most successful monetarily of all the pirates.
That's pretty awesome. They got estimates?
160 million.
Woo!
Over 160 million in today's money.
That is crazy.
Yeah, especially when you hear about the time frame, which I'll get into. But the thing is, he was a naval sailor, right, in his teens, so he was a smart sailor, which is part of the reason he grew up. But he was also, because of that, he was a really good tactician. And what he did was he typically used two ships when he would attack, and he used one that was heavier and lighter and more heavily armed. But he also used a lighter, faster ship, and that would be used to kind of slow down the ship that they were robbing. So he was really smart with like communicating with that ship. He was just a strong tactician leader, and that's really why he would get like basically because of that, he caught the Whydah Galley. And the Whydah is one of the most famous pirate ships. When he captured it, it took him 3 days to capture it. because
Ooh.
the ship was way more advanced than his. It
Well,
was
I mean,
way bigger.
that happens.
It was like heavily armed, right?
Yeah.
Um, that ship specifically was like, it was like, man, you see those supercars today, like the Koenigsegg, like it's like if you took a Chevy Cruze
And say you're jumping straight to the Koenigsegg.
if you took a Chevy Cruze and like a Hummer, and you like captured a Koenigsegg with your like
That'd be kind of
somehow.
cool. If that's all
So
it takes.
yeah, then you'll go to jail. But the Witta had just sold 500 slaves when they captured it, so
Okay.
it was loaded with gold, indigo, ivory, all these expensive things.
That's what you
A
want.
lot of money.
That's what the pirates want.
So when they finally got to capture it, all they had to do was shoot one shot at it with their cannons, and it gave up.
That's it.
That's it. It was like
Boom.
because
Yes.
piracy was such a feared thing, and you think if you're a captain of the other ship, you're like, fuck this, I'm not gonna die for
And that-
Britain's money. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. Was the guys didn't feel like it was their duty to go to their grave with this money.
So right. So then he captured the ship, and because they gave up quickly, he was extremely merciful to them. He actually gave him his current ship.
So he took the better ship.
He took the better ship and then gave them their other ship. Said, "You guys can go
All right,
take
we're
that."
gonna take your sports car. You can have my
Yeah.
compact.
I mean, yeah.
But still, I mean, he didn't leave them.
You now have a Chevy Cruze.
Congratulations.
But like, you think about it, for lawless people, that's a pretty honorable thing
Yes.
to do, right? So after he got the Witta, which was like the Koenigsegg, right? If you don't know what a Koenigsegg is,
It's a
K-
badass
O-
car.
yeah, Koenig something seg. Look it up. It's like a Swedish crazy supercar.
They're
Super cool.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's all carbon fiber. Super cool. Anyways, so he used that Koenigsegg to go around and basically steal shit like crazy.
Because he was very efficient.
Extreme, like good tactician. He had the fancy Witta galley, right? Extremely nice vehicle. He had this dedicated crew. In his time frame where he was taking over, he was unstoppable as a pirate captain. Like, I know Blackbeard's has way more legacy, right? Like for cool reasons, but Black Sam, dude, he was rocking it.
Like that. Like I said, like I think if he would have lasted a little longer, he would have been a bigger guy.
I think you're right. So eventually he captured this ship from Captain Beer, and he gave a famous speech that I want to go through just real quick.
Okay.
When they captured the ship, they put up somewhat of a fight. So the crew said he lets the crew vote on it, and the crew voted to burn the ship down. Like, it was him that decided that. The crew decided there was no mercy to be had, and he said, "You know what? That's what we got to do." So this is the speech that he gave. I'm going to run through this. So, "I am sorry they won't let you have your ship again, for I scorn to do any a mischief when it is not my advantage, damn the sloop." What a nice guy, right? "We must sink her, and she might be of use to you, though you are a puppy," is what he said. Like, I think it's like a wimp when he says that.
Okay.
But he says puppy a couple times in here.
Being
so-
like helpless.
Yeah, like a wimp, you know?
Yeah.
"And so are all those who submit to be governed by laws which rich men have made for their own security, for the cowardly whelps have not the courage otherwise to defend what they get by bravery. But damn ye all together. Damn them for a pack of crafty rascals, and you who serve them for a parcel of hen-hearted numbskulls. They vilify us, the scoundrels do. When there is only difference, they rob the poor under cover of law. Forsooth, we plunder the rich under the protection of their own courage. Had you not better make than one of us than sneak after these villains?" And the guy was like, "Oh, I can't break the rules. That's bad to do that." He's like, "You are a devilish conscience rascal. I am a free prince, and I have as much authority to make war on the whole world as he who has 100 sail of ships at sea and an army of 100,000 men in the field. And this my conscience tells me, but there is no arguing with such wimps who allow superiors to kick them about deck with pleasure." Like he's a badass.
Yeah.
Like imagine your captain give that speech and you just took over a
Very
ship. Be
articulate.
like, yeah, extremely. That's the thing. It's like it's easy to misportray pirates, I think.
Yeah.
Especially this guy, right? Like he was a badass, man.
Yeah.
If I was a pirate on a ship and my captain gave that speech after we took over someone
Oh,
else's
dude,
ship,
my nipples would be so hard.
Dude,
I'd be ready to fucking fight.
dude, let's go get another ship, man. But that's why he was so successful. And here's the craziest thing, right? Hugely successful, tons of money, had all this, captured 53 ships in his career as a captain.
Jesus Christ.
With a pirate tenure of 1 year. He was a pirate for 1 year in his life.
So that's
Isn't that crazy?
50. How many ships? 53?
53 ships.
It's more than, that's a ship a week.
And then he died in a shipwreck.
I know that.
That's the thing, is like they were gonna land, and there was
He
a
was
huge
trying to
hurricane
get
that
home.
came in, and it just wrecked his ship, and he died. They just all drowned.
30 miles from Cape Cod, where he was originally from.
Yep.
I
So
mean,
he was
he
badass,
was
but
from
he died.
England, but lived in Cape Cod and then went down to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I mean, that sucks, dude. You were so close.
Dude, I know.
But also at the same time, if he hit Cape Cod, would he have continued?
I mean, the world will never know.
The world will never know. Just like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
But that's the legend of Black Sam.
Legend of Black Sam.
I gotta pee.
Hitting over that hour mark. Sorry, but there's a lot of fun information.
So
here.
much good stuff.
Love pirates.
Arr.
It's always been something very cool.
I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do.
Well, I mean, the
Isn't
more
that
you
fun?
learn about things, the more you're gonna like it. Sometimes. But
I never felt that way about taxes.
taxes suck. Let's turn to piracy. All right. Just brief little side note. One thing that was really cool for me, my freshman year of college is I ended up winning some stupid scholarship competition. Where it was through the Church of the Brethren. It was creepy. They're weird. Outlawed mustaches for a while. But whole thing was we had to come up with a business that we could implement in Haiti that would be self-sustaining. Yeah. It's going to be a weird little side note, but it's going to tie into pirates. So my hillbilly ass came up with a farmer's market. So listen before you laugh.
Like they do in my hometown on Saturday mornings.
It's in Byron, damn it. But the whole thing was there was a physical market there for like produce and stuff like that, stuff that would perishables. But then you could have a single computer set up that could sell art, jewelry, and other crafts online, and ended up winning the competition. So they're gonna send us down to Haiti for a week and a half to talk to people to implement our idea. Basically, we flew down there, went to Port-au-Prince, which is the capital, drove to Port-au-Paix, which is on the north side of the island, because Haiti is actually the Dominican Republic, same island. Half of it's Haiti, the other half's Dominican. So we drove up to Port-au-Paix, hopped on a ferry across to this island called Tortuga, which some of you may know and remember from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, as that's where Jack Sparrow went to go get his crew.
I know they have rum cakes there.
And the Tortuga rum cakes are fantastic. Not made there. It's Haiti, third world country.
Oh man.
Yeah. So we went there. Went to this little village in the middle of the island. And helped them dig a retention pond. Talked to literally nobody about our project. I was just the guy that lifted rocks. Yeah. So
Cool story.
at the time, I was very physically fit. No, not to toot my own horn. But it would take me to lift a rock or 3 Haitians, so I got kind of stuck on rock duty. But while we were there, me and my history professor, Dr. Kenyon McPherson College. Awesome dude. Love him to death. We actually went to the west side of the island where there was an old pirate fort. So where Tortuga actually was now is just a little town, but it was a Spanish fort originally. Fell into the pirates, went back to the Spanish, back to the pirates. I mean, it was always up in arms because that was where the pirates like hung out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a more chaotic Nassau because I mean it was just constantly shit going crazy there. The French eventually took it over and everything, but
It's like
while we were
Amsterdam.
what
It's like Amsterdam.
pirate Amsterdam, yeah. But while we were there, we saw like the outline of the fort, like the stone wall. Just I mean, they basically broke it down to make fences for themselves. Uh, there was cannons sitting in between houses that families would sit on and eat their dinners. Like that was the strangest thing to me. It was just this fucking cannon, like, I mean, taken over by the ground. Like it looked like rock, just like like took it. But then it's just in between these two houses, and they're just sitting on it and eating their lunch. And I'm like, oh,
it's a cannon.
it's a cannon. And ironically, a lot of them got tossed into the bay, and it looks like coral at that point took it over, and they would tie their boats off on them and stuff.
Yeah.
So like it was just kind of cool seeing that little bit of pirate history like with my own eyes, but also like, I mean, just society moving on at that point.
You know, that's true. You used to be in great shape.
Used to be in great shape.
What the hell happened?
Alcohol. Alcohol, fatherhood,
Children,
getting married.
It's hard to find time to work out with kids.
It is. And just work. Work takes up a lot of time.
Work, kids, exercise. It's like, especially when you got a little kid, it's like you just kind of give up.
Yeah.
Give up on the exercise.
That's
part.
not the right words to say. Don't give up. But you give up a little
No, like
bit.
on the exercise part,
Yes.
I mean, not life in general. Jesus. Dark.
All right. So we're in
Rum cakes. Yeah.
fucking rum cakes. They have a key lime one. Fantastic. I mean, all of them are delicious. The banana one's real good, too.
Yeah, I like banana flavored shit.
All right. We're going to talk about our last pirate here. Edward Thatch.
The last one.
The
best one, right?
Yeah.
The most iconic.
most iconic.
Oh my god.
Better known
You mean
as
Blackbeard was real?
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Matey.
Yeah. So Blackbeard, also known as Edward Thatch, you started off sailing under Hornigold and everything.
He was Hornigold's bitch.
He was not Hornigold's bitch. Hornigold, I mean, kind of. Hornigold saw his potential. I mean, didn't like be like, "Hey, you're mine," like, but
yeah,
basically gave him command right away.
No, he
like,
was his right hand man.
Yeah, there was no
no
hesitation.
Yep, he loved Edward Thatch.
Yeah, and even like with him flipping to be a pirate hunter, Hornigold flipping to be a pirate hunter, never went after Blackbeard.
Yeah, he was his boy.
Yeah, like Hornigold didn't go after like his friends. He went after his enemies, like Charles Vane. Yeah. But like, I mean, just all the pirates that did him wrong is who he went after. But
I still think it was a bitch move.
It was kind of a bitch move.
Yeah.
But Edward Thatch, also known as Blackbeard, they have no idea when he was born. But they're guessing around 1680, which is when half the other fucking guys we've talked about tonight was born. But they actually know when he died. It was November 22nd, 1718.
That's oddly specific.
It's very specific. They actually have like an entire...
That's like piracy in general. Like this guy was a nobody, but by the time he died, he was a big deal.
And they're like, this is when he fucking died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Thatch was just a very experienced sailor. Hornigold gave him a lot of shit to do. Like, I mean, basically anything Hornigold needed done, he gave Thatch. And eventually Thatch took control of a slave ship known as Long Concorde. It was a French slave ship that he eventually turned into Queen Anne's Revenge. That's like his iconic ship.
Yeah.
But there was a pirate named Stead Bonnet. he was a I think he came from a rich plantation owner. Had his ship, was injured, and that's who he got his first ship from, and that was just known as Revenge. And then he eventually took over a new ship and called it Queen Anne's Revenge, and it was a huge ship. Had I think at the time he took it over, it had 30 guns on it, and then eventually upgraded to 40.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Yeehaw.
supposedly a crew of over 300. Like, that's a huge fucking
That's
ship.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Those people were sleeping up deck.
And I mean, Blackbeard just had a huge fleet. He had a bunch of smaller ships, sloops, just single mast ships that, I mean, they just ransacked the Caribbean and eventually started moving their way up north into the Americas, like along the coast of colonial America, like North Carolina,
It was getting
Virginia.
too easy in the Caribbean.
I think at the point it was, but he also realized the slave trade was more money.
Yeah.
And a big, I mean, it was British basically doing it, but Virginia was like the big colony for slavery. And the governor, what the hell was his name?
Woodes Rogers?
No, the governor of Virginia. God damn, it's gonna bother me so much.
It's all right. We'll just sit here and wait while you look through your notes.
Fuck off.
You want me to sit on your other lap?
Yeah, if you could. The governor was losing a lot of money because of him, but
what's the governor's name?
I'm finding it. But Thatch eventually found out about the king's pardon and all that, and ended up going to the Carolinas to Governor Eden of the Carolinas, and the Stead Bonnet was still sailing with him, who owned the Revenge ship first, and kind of convinced him to accept the king's pardon.
Mm.
And so he did. But while they were on their way to North Carolina, Blackbeard crashed their ships, except for like 2 of them.
Whoops.
It actually ended up being on purpose. He basically got rid of the crews that he couldn't trust, and got rid of the Stead Bonnet, who like went and accepted the pardon. But while he did that, Blackbeard stole all the shit off the ships and bailed. And so Stead Bonnet came back and was like, "What the fuck?" And then returned to piracy, and eventually Stead Bonnet got hung. So Thatch eventually took the king's pardon through Carolinas, and basically he was no longer a pirate, but a pirate. So it wasn't privateering, but it was him still being a pirate for North Carolina, basically.
Yeah.
Like, the king didn't approve of it, but the governor was getting a cut, so he was like, "This is
dirty.
okay."
It was corruption, piracy.
Yeah.
The thing with Thatch is like we talk about a lot of these lawful, orderly guys.
He started off that way.
Yeah, he started off that way. Thatch was fucking wild.
Eventually.
By the end, for certain reasons.
So he actually went by Edward Thatch for a lot of his career. And that's also a thing, is that pirates didn't really use their real names. And so they don't even really know if that was his name and where he came from, and that's how they kind of like guessed his, because like the name Thatch, like where it came from in England, is where they kind of like how they based his birthday and everything. Like, it's stupid.
That's stupid.
It's very stupid.
So
But he really pissed off the governor of Virginia, which I still can't find his fucking name, and South Carolina and all that. So he actually blockaded the port of Charleston for like 8 days, I think it was. But he basically ransacked every ship that went in and out of Charleston in the search for medical supplies, money, stuff like that. And then eventually held the port ransom, and they asked like what he wanted, and he was like, "I want medical supplies. More specifically, mercury."
Why is that? Why does he want mercury?
So
confusing.
if you actually listen to one of our previous episodes, Wild West Medicine, because they still practice it then, mercury was a treatment, which is not a treatment. I do not advise anybody to use it. But back then they thought mercury was a treatment for syphilis.
How did he get syphilis?
Lots of unprotected sex with prostitutes.
Yeah.
And
That's what I expect.
also not cleaning. But
Too much grog.
yeah, too much
Showering
grog.
in grog.
So the way they would treat syphilis is using a urethral syringe,
Dude, no way.
injecting liquid mercury right up your urethra, which is your penis. And
Thank you for clarifying.
you're
that
welcome.
part.
And so the idea is that the mercury kills the viral infection, which it does. But it also kills the host.
Side effects include death.
But it gave them that little bit of relief from the pain of syphilis. Because syphilis, basically, your dick just rotted away.
Well, not only that, but it starts to rot your brain away.
Yeah, and that's when he kind of switched from being, Edward Thatch to Blackbeard.
Fucking psycho
Yeah.
crazy guy. Wow.
So we might be able to blame syphilis for Blackbeard.
I think that's totally fair.
I think he wouldn't have been as ruthless and as well known if it wasn't for the syphilis. It kind of,
if you look at a Google image of the painting they did of him back then, because so his thing was he used to attack ships, right? And in his beard, he would have strands of hemp and would light it on fire, so his fucking face was smoking. So can you imagine you're in the
he would
ocean?
tie fuses and shit in his hair, and like that's insane.
Dude, imagine you're on a ship in the ocean. And you're like, oh no, there's a pirate. You're
And
like,
then,
oh, shit.
holy fuck, that's the flaming
Dude,
beard.
No, it's Blackbeard. And you're like,
Well,
who's Blackbeard? That sounds awful. and then he gets closer, and there's a guy with a smoking face.
You're
And
like,
he looks like
"Oh."
he's got like syphilis rotting away his flesh, and he's like, dude, just give the ship to him. Like,
You can have it.
Give it whatever he wants.
But Blackbeard actually had a specific flag that he flew.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, it was a black flag with with the skull, but then with a lot of red on it.
Blood.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so he held Charleston for a ransom to, get mercury. And then another thing they actually found on his ship, because his ship wrecked eventually, but they actually, like, archaeologists found more medical equipment. And then it actually came out that, like, ships that he would capture, he would, like, ask the crew, and if there was a surgeon, he would take that person immediately. Like, that would be on his crew then.
He's trying to live forever.
I think it was the live forever and or my dick is throbbing with pain, not in a good way.
Dude, my dick hurts.
Can
you fix my dick?
Yeah, please fix my dick. But a thing they found were
We've all been there.
No, we haven't. But sister pumps. So it was basically a pump to make an enema. So that was another thing, is enemas cured things. They'd mix, vinegar and just different spices and water just to flush your butthole.
I'm telling you, if you look at the picture of him, that they painted
he
on the
looks
back end,
he looks like he's got an enema.
he looks like you're on the sketchy corner, and there's the meth head at the corner of the street, and he's like, "Hey man, I need some money, man."
Please.
He looks like a meth head.
God damn it! There's
That's what
his
he looks
fucking
like.
name. Governor of Virginia, Alexander Spotswood. There it is. Yes. So
Yeah, it's good thing you got it.
it was like 4
20
pages
minutes later.
I know. I'm sorry. But so Blackbeard basically ransacked all the way from the Caribbean all the way up to the Carolinas. Ended up taking his king's pardon from North Carolina, Governor Eden, and actually took up spot there in Bath, North Carolina. I think they call it Bath City now, but it was like Ocracoke
Yeah, go
Island.
look in your notes.
I know, it's because I want to say Orca, but it's not. It's like Ocracoke.
See, I come prepared.
Fuck you.
I know. Hey, I'm not gonna talk about that. I don't know.
Damn it, where the hell is it? All right,
Just
but
make up something.
history's. Oh, there it is. Ocracoke Island. Okay.
Blood alone moves the wheels of history.
Shut the hell up. So Spotswood, losing a shit ton of money because of Blackbeard, hired so many people to go find him, hunt him down. Never successful. Always just basically came back and like his fleet got bigger, and so eventually they hired this guy named Maynard to command 2 sloops to go find him. He was only given 57 men, 33 for one ship called the HMS Pearl, and 24 for the HMS Lime with a Y. Maynard basically, they were like, "We're gonna give you a fuck ton of money if you go find Blackbeard. We have intel that he's hiding at this Ocracoke Island." And so this Maynard guy actually goes, kind of ties up, and spots them, but Blackbeard's there fucking having a party. So basically he ties up, goes on the island, fucking parties for days, and at the time when they showed up, eventually Blackbeard noticed they were there, but they were partying. Ships ran aground. This Maynard took a lot of casualties. Blackbeard boarded, his crew boarded. Thought they took out most of the men, but a lot of the men were hiding actually below, waiting for them to come on. And so when the pirates got on the ship, they actually like emerged and fought and ambushed them, and actually worked. But Blackbeard and this Maynard were fighting. They each pulled their pistol. Maynard hit Blackbeard. Blackbeard missed. Blackbeard pulled his cutlass out and rushed at this Maynard guy. And before he got to him, they actually surrounded him, like, with Maynard's guys. And Blackbeard was gonna basically kill Maynard.
Yeah.
And he basically raised his arm up. One of Maynard's guys came up behind him and slashed his throat. Yeah. So
you need to make a movie about Blackbeard.
I think they have multiple movies.
Have they?
I'm pretty
sure. Why have I
not
not seen one?
Because they're usually
It sounds like a movie
knockoff.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I don't want Jack Sparrow. I want that.
Also, a cool thing about Blackbeard is when they boarded, they actually tossed homemade grenades on the deck.
Yeah, grenades were a common,
like glass jars full of shrapnel and shit. Like, that's pretty sweet. And so, yeah, the man actually came up, slipped Blackbeard's neck, and when he swung, he actually like missed everything and ended up just hitting like the knuckles of Maynard, like barely injuring him. But then, as soon as Blackbeard dropped, all the crew like attacked him and eventually cut his head off.
Yeah.
And actually, like,
it's like the Red Wedding.
Yeah. So Maynard actually examined the body after, and Blackbeard was shot 5 times and stabbed over 20 times. They mutilated the corpse.
Yeah.
But they chopped off his head because that was the way Governor Spotswood wanted, payment.
Sure.
And
Make
so,
an example of the guy. If I'm like a 5-year pirate captain, that guy had some.
Yeah, Blackbeard
reputation.
Messed with a lot of Spotswood's money. And so Maynard sailed back to the port with Blackbeard's head on a pole hanging off the front. And what's kind of funny is that the governor was supposed to pay 400 euro, pounds, whatever, $67,000 worth of money to be split up between the crews. But since the captain and a couple of his crew actually took money from Blackbeard, like they robbed Blackbeard, it actually took like over 4 years for them to get payment from Spotswood. But what's kind of shitty is that the guy, Maynard, basically like just disappeared. Like he never got promoted in the Navy, in Spotswood's Navy. Never got like commendation. Just disappeared.
Killed Blackbeard and
Yeah, dude
rode off
fucking
into
killed
the
Blackbeard and
sunset.
just fell off the
Maybe
face of the earth.
they need to make a movie about him.
That'd be kind of cool.
Maynard
Maynard
killed the syphilis guy.
killed the syphilitic pirate.
Yeah.
All right, and so I mean that'll be our tail end of the golden age of piracy.
Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the pod. You know, we have a Facebook page now, and we have a couple links. If you guys ever have any comments or anything like that, or want to give us a review, that greatly helps.
Yeah, reviews on any of the podcast services. I mean, just interacting with us on the podcast services bumps us up charts.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start putting out polls too for topics that we're gonna talk about. We're thinking about trying some new things, make things a little more fun.
Trying to be more interactive, giving you guys a voice.
Yeah, so give us a like,
Facebook,
give us a follow.
Instagram. If you just go ahead and search Historical Blunders Podcast on both. There is a Linktree link on both Facebook and Instagram that gives you all the links to the 4 big ones: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. And then also on there is our